Hello dear students, welcome to the unit MS Excel as an audit tool. We'll now be studying the fourth and the last topic, data analysis using MS Excel. Excel is a data analysis software. We saw in the first topic that how data is important from an audit perspective. We receive data from the auditee and this data needs to be verified. That is the essence of audit. For doing this, we have lot of data analysis features present in Excel. If you look at them, these are some of the prominent ones which we require for data analysis. We will be handling the duplicates, we will be using the sort feature, filters, consolidation of data and pivot tables. Of course, this is not a comprehensive list, but these are the major tools which are used for data analysis purpose. Now let's study them one after the other. First one on agenda is duplicates. How do we handle duplicates? More often than not, we come across duplicate values in Excel or present in data basically. Excel lets us handle them very efficiently. There are two ways of basically handling duplicates. One is we can highlight them, we can simply mark them. For this purpose we can use conditional formatting, or at a later point we would also like to remove the duplicates altogether from our data. If this has to be done, we have a dedicated feature for this known as remove duplicates. Let's see how these two tools work in Excel. Consider the data given over here. Here we have a number of fields. We have the full name, the first name, last name, company, address 1, address 2, work phone number, email address, mobile phone number, fax, and some additional notes are given. We suspect that some of the records may have got duplicated. There could be multiple records for the same person. For example, if you look at this Carlos Gaspar Hernandez Flores, this record I have identified already by manual inspection that this has got duplicated. If we apply filters over here, we can check for this particular person there exist multiple records, like two identical records exist for this. I would like to highlight all such records which are duplicate, which are appearing multiple times. Can I do so? This we can do using conditional formatting among other things. For this purpose, we will have to first merge all the fields and create a single field of the entire combination. I would like to insert a column here. To insert a column, I can select the column and press Ctrl+. Now in place of this A2 cell, I would like to insert concatenate function. Concatenate function we had learnt in the earlier topic, the second one, where concatenate is used for combining two or more texts. So here I insert concatenate and I give all the different fields as my different text. First is B2, then C2, D2, E2. You'll have to be a little patient over here. F, G, H, I, J. There are a number of fields to be combined. K, L. There can be M. Possibly a value in N as well. So all these fields I would like to combine. I close the bracket, I press enter, and here I get an output. If you want, you can widen the column slightly. Here all the fields are combined. I won't like to auto-fit it because the column will be too wide. All the fields are combined. So just to get an idea, I have widened it slightly, and now I will double click on the handle. The values get copy pasted till the bottom. Now out of these values, how many are duplicates I would like to mark. I will go to Home tab. In Home tab I have got conditional formatting. In conditional formatting we have highlight cell rules. There the last one is this duplicate values. I click on that. How to highlight duplicates? We can highlight either the duplicate ones or the unique ones. But right now I am interested in marking the duplicate ones. There are different ways of highlighting. You can select either of these schemes or you can even custom format it. Right now I'll go with the default option of light red fill with dark red text. I'll press OK. We can see some rows have marked in red color. We can again apply filters here. I go to data. I click on this filter symbol and then I can use filter by color. I can indicate I am interested in the red color, and now these all records have got duplicated. They are all duplicates. They have occurred multiple times, like we were talking about this Carlos Gasper Hernandez in row number 9 as well as row number 18. Similarly, Juan Carlos Vital Rivera appears in row number 10 and 19. All duplicates have been marked. So this is sufficient if you merely want to mark the duplicates. Duplicates are there identified in front of you. Maybe going one step ahead, you would like to remove these duplicates altogether and retain only one unique set. In such a case, you can use the remove duplicates tool, which is again there in data tools group. Remove duplicates over here. For this, let me clear the filters. I may even remove the filters. I don't really need this concatenate for this purpose. So if I want, I can delete this column. To delete a column, select the column and press Ctrl minus. I would like to highlight the entire data. If you wish to highlight the entire data, the keyboard shortcut is Ctrl asterisk. Asterisk is on top of 8. So you can press Ctrl Shift and 8. This will select the entire data at once. I suspect some rows have got duplicated. In fact, conditional formatting has confirmed my suspicion. I would like to go ahead and remove them. So here is remove duplicates. I click here. Does my data have headers? First thing I need to check is this. My data indeed has headers. However, Excel has failed to identify that. So I would like to highlight. I would like to tick it. And then here is the entire list of columns. Where do I feel the duplicates lie, or a combination of which fields make it duplicate. I would like to consider all the fields. If all the values are repeating as they are, then it's a duplicate record and I would like to eliminate. So every column is ticked by default. If you want, you can untick few of them. I would like to retain the tick marks for all these checkboxes. All I need to do is just review this and press OK. So Excel here gives me a message, 14 duplicate values found and removed, 307 unique values remaining. So this is how you can get rid of the duplicates. So we learned about two tools. One is available in the Home tab, conditional formatting, highlight cell rules, duplicate values. The other tool is in Data tab and remove duplicates in Data Tools group. Conditional formatting only for marking the duplicates and remove duplicates for actually removing them. Now the next concept that we learn is sort. Sort is one of the most fundamental features of data analysis. More often than not, the data that we receive from Oddity is not arranged in our desired order. We would like to reorder it. We would like to arrange the records in a different way. In other words, we would like to sort the data on the basis of some different field scheme. This can be done by using sort feature, and the interesting thing about sort feature in Excel is that we can do multi-level sorting. We can specify one field after the other to do this sort. Let's see how this works in Excel. Look at this data set. Here again we have multiple fields: serial number, name, PAN, date of payment or credit, amount paid or credited. We would like to sort the adjoining data in the following order. First on the basis of name, and this has to be ascending. Then on the basis of date of payment or credit in ascending order again, and amount on the other hand should be descending. So this is an example of multi-level sort that I was talking about. For achieving this sort, keep your cell pointer anywhere on the data, and then at the top in the ribbon go to data tab. Here we can see the sort button, sort dialog box. To get that, click on this button. The data is automatically highlighted by Excel, and we must very carefully check, like remove duplicates. Look at this checkbox of my data has headers. Has it been rightly or wrongly ticked or unticked? We must check that. We should be very careful about this point. Now here we indeed have headings and Excel has rightly identified that has been ticked. But if this is not ticked by default, by mistake, if this checkbox is unticked, then even the header row is included in my selection, and sorting will happen with the header row as well. So maybe the header row may go somewhere down. So be very careful on this point. I will tick this again. Now in this sort by drop down, I can see the different headers. On which basis would I like to sort? So as per the given question, first I would like to sort on the basis of name, which has to be ascending. The order is given here. We can see this is A to Z, which means ascending. The next was date of payment or credit. For this we will have to click on this add level button. A new level gets added. So first we will sort on the basis of name and then by date of payment or credit. So I select here from the drop down. Again ascending means oldest to newest, because this is a date field where it has been presented as oldest to newest. Finally, one more level of sorting, add level. After this, it has to be sorted on the basis of amount paid or credited, but this has to be descending. Now this is a numeric field, so we don't have A to Z, nor we have oldest to newest. We have smallest to largest or largest to smallest. I select largest to smallest because we are interested in a descending sort. So that's it. These are the three levels. You can go on specifying more levels if you so desire. Right now I have finished specifying all the requirements. So all I need to do now is click on the OK button, and within a fraction of a second you can see the records go up and down, the data is sorted. So just for example, as we read from the top, A1, then ABEC, ABH, ADD, ADH. So we can clearly see the name field has been sorted in an ascending order right till the bottom is VI. As I come back to the top, we have this Adhunik Transport Organization. There are multiple fields, so maybe I would like to just quickly mark them. We are quickly verifying whether the sort has taken place in the way we wanted or no. The second field was the date field. So you can see 24th April 2008 comes first, then 30th May, then 25th June, then 7th July, 13th July, 18th August. So again, the date field is in an ascending order. What about amounts? Now here there is no repetition of dates, but if at all there is a common date, we might also observe that the amount will be in descending order. So far this particular data seems to be satisfactorily sorted. So where do we find sort? We find that in data sort. You can achieve a multi-level sort. Just specify and press OK button. That's all you need to do. Excel will sort the data for you. The next tool available for us is filters. Filters is used to shortlist the data record. We can focus on few records at a time when we have a lot of records, maybe thousands of records. Filters can be of three types. They can be either text filters or numeric filters or date filters. There are various criteria that we can specify within these filters, and out of thousands of records, only those records which satisfy the criteria are displayed. We can even combine multiple criteria. We can combine two criteria actually, and can design a complex query which will retrieve only those records which satisfy such criteria. In addition to this, we can also filter using colors. Colors can be cell color, colors can be font color. On the basis of colors, we can filter and focus on those records which have been colored in a particular way. Let's see an example of filters in Excel. Now let's consider this list of items. Here we have scheme name as a field, and there are various schemes. This is data of IDFC Mutual Fund, and many scheme names I can see. I would like to filter few of these records. There are some questions given, some criteria given on the right hand side. Let's go through them one by one and let's filter accordingly. So using filters, find the number of records which are equal to IDFC Arbitrage Plus Fund. So we want only IDFC Arbitrage Plus Fund. For this purpose, I'll stand on even or stand somewhere on the data. Go to data tab. Here we can see this funnel shaped symbol which is filters. The keyboard shortcut is Ctrl Shift L. By pressing Ctrl Shift L, we can bring filters. Filters are these drop down buttons that we can see on the top of each column. If I click on this button, I can see a list of all items present in this data. This list is a unique list. There are no repetitions over here. As per the question, I am supposed to retrieve all those records which belong to IDFC Arbitrage Plus Fund, and I can see it's over here. I would like to retrieve all records belonging to this. An easier way of doing this is you unselect all. So by clicking using mouse, you can untick all the items and then tick Arbitrage Plus Fund. Only that item is ticked now. Press OK, and now we can see that these records are shown. The ones which belong to IDFC Arbitrage Plus. At the bottom portion of Excel, here we can see a small report that 21 of 154 records are found. So this quickly gives you how many records are retrieved. On the left hand side, we can see the row numbers have turned blue in color. This is one very obvious, simple yet conclusive evidence that the list that we are reviewing is a filtered list. Now I would like to come back to 100% of the data. Once you finish your work and if you want to clear the filters, again just beside the filter button we have this clear button. When you click on the clear button, now 100% data is again visible. You can see the row numbers have again turned black. Now we will turn on to the second criteria. The second criteria says contain the word equity. So we would like to see all such records which contain the word equity. Again I will click on this drop down. I have these text filters. Using text filters, I can make use of various criteria, various types of criteria like equals, does not equal, begins with, ends with, contains. Right now I am more interested in contains because my question says contains the word equity. So I click here. A small window appears. Here I can type equity and press OK. So here I get all such scheme names which contain the word equity somewhere or the other in its scheme name. In Excel 2010 we can achieve this actually in a shortcut method. I would like to clear and would like to try this question once more. In Excel 2010 we have been given this search window in filters. This works like contains. All you need to do is click here and type equity. Before even completing the spelling, you can see the desired records are displayed. The list is over here. You can inspect this list, and if you are not interested in any one of the items or more, you can unselect them. Eventually you can press OK and you get the same list again. Now fine, let me clear these filters once more. Let's approach the third question. Contains the word equity but does not contain the word premier. So these are two conditions. The record should contain equity but they should not contain premier. For this, again, if I have to do the shortcut method, I can type EQU. I don't want premier equity, right? So here is premier equity. I can unselect it and I press OK. If you glance at the bottom, you can see there are 18 records found. If this has to be done by the long cut method, you can go to custom filter. You may specify from this contains, the last option, second last other, contains equity, and the second criteria is does not contain, does not contain premier. Now there are two conjunctions in between. We have and, we have or. Either of them may be selected. Please specify and when you want any particular record to satisfy both the criteria. You want the record to contain equity, at the same time that record should not contain premier. Use or when you want either of the two to be satisfied, not necessarily both. So you may be happy if the record contains equity, or it may not contain equity but it should not contain premier. If that is the situation, you can select or. In our situation, we want only equity once and that too without premier, so we must select and, which is anyway selected. All I need to do now is press OK and we get the same list. Again you can see these are 18 records. These are the same 18 records, but this time we have done it using the text filters. Again I clear this. Now we go for our marks in yellow color. So we could see that some records were colored ones. Let us retrieve the colored records. The filter by color is there. We have the yellow color and here you can select the yellow colored one. Again I clear the filter. Last question, either contain bond or contain equity. Now this is either or. The wording itself says either or. So we must use the custom filter and use the conjunction or. So I go for text filters. Within text filter, the last one, custom filter. I may select contains bond or contains equity. Here the safer approach would be to type the complete spelling. And now we can see we have got 32 records which contain either bond or equity somewhere or the other. It's there. So this is the final list. I hope you have followed the different features that are available in text filters. What we saw just now was text filters. Now let's turn our attention to the next category, that is numeric filters. I come to the sheet number 2, and in sheet number 2 you can see there are many numbers. This sheet contains numbers. We don't have to actually be bothered about whether our filters will be text filters or numeric filters or date filters. Excel identifies it for us. Only the options change. Even that is handled automatically. We don't have to do any conscious choice. Let's solve these questions. Find values which are greater than 1 followed by, it's a big number. So I can do one small thing. I'll copy this number from inside. I'll press Ctrl C. I escape. I come over here. Let me activate filters. The keyboard shortcut is Ctrl Shift L. I come over here. Here again I get a choice to tick and untick. Ticking and unticking in a numeric field it rarely happens. Most probably we will be using the number filters options. So here, since I am interested in greater than, I will go for greater than. I have already copied the number, I just have to paste it using Ctrl V. On pressing OK, I get 57 records. I clear them. The keyboard shortcut to clear is Alt AC. Then I would like to focus on values less than, this is 1 million, 10 lakhs. So values less than 10 lakhs, I copy, and I would like to now specify less than. I go for less than 10 lakhs, and I got only 7 records. I press Alt AC. Now between 10 lakhs to, I believe this is 1 billion, whatever it is. I copy this larger number and I go for between this time. So it's greater than or equal to 10 lakhs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And here I have to specify the upper limit. I have copied the bigger number, I have specified. We don't have to make any changes here. Just specify the lower and the upper limit. Press OK. And we get the filtered list. Now the next option is a little interesting. Values either greater than 1 billion or less than 1 million. Now these are going to be extreme values. Extreme case. Extreme values is what I am interested in. So I copy this bigger number once more. I don't have it ready over here. So I can go for the custom filter category and I will specify is greater than this. The second condition is less than 10 lakhs. Now should I use AND, should I use OR? Now I need to ask myself, do I want a particular number to satisfy both these conditions or any one of them? Now if we talk about both these conditions, it is mathematically absurd. We can't have any single number which is greater than 1 billion and at the same time less than 1 million. It is mathematically impossible. So what makes sense is, we would like to have a list of numbers which could be either greater than 1 billion or less than 1 million. This sounds more logical, so we will select OR and then I will press OK. So here we get the list of numbers. Some are very small, you can see, and some are very large. So here we are focusing on the extreme values. Then we have top 5 values. We would like to know which are the top 5. Here we have the top 10 feature. Even though its name is top 10, it need not be top 10 always. You can change this 10 to 5. So obviously these are 5 values and these are the top 5 values. We can also obtain the bottom 8% values. Even though the word says bottom, we will still use the top 10 feature because top can be changed to bottom. This top may be changed to bottom. I am interested in 8 values. I will go for 8 numbers. And this items can be changed to percent. I am not interested in 8 items in number, but I am interested in 8%, whatever number of records it turns out to be. I press OK. When I glance at the bottom, it is 12 of 154. You may try calculating 8% of 154. It will be approximately equal to 12. So means the bottom 12 records have been displayed. Lastly, all values greater than the average value. So here we have above average, a ready-made option. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to specify anything. Just click on above average and we can see 25 records are above average values. So these are some of the leading features of numeric filters. We will now turn our attention to the last but not the least category of date filters. So I come to sheet number 3, and here some more questions are given. Let us try attempting them. Date before 15th Jan of 2012. That is my first question. You can see this is a date field. Again, we don't have to do anything consciously. Just apply filters, and we will see that we have got date related options. We have got these date filters with lot of options related to date. This is automatically handled by Excel. We don't have to worry about it. Now, we would like to retrieve all dates before 15th Jan of 2012. For this purpose, I can go for before. Now, one interesting item over here, we have got a date picker. This was not there earlier. It was irrelevant earlier. Now we can have this date picker. But if we try to pick the dates using date picker, it may not be most convenient. Most unfortunately, Microsoft has not provided the option of skipping a year. So if I want to go to January of 2012, which is approximately 5.5 years before, I will have to click 12 into 5 is 60, at least more than 60 times. I have to keep clicking, and then I may reach to 2012. So this is not the best possible manner in which we can reach to our date. I rather prefer typing the date over here. While typing, be very careful. Look at the format of date followed by our own machine. Here I can see in my machine today is 19th August. This has been marked as 8/19, which means the month appears first and day appears later. You may look at the bottom right hand corner of my screen. So if I am interested in 15th Jan, I will type this as 1/15/2012. I press OK. So these are the dates which appear before 15th Jan of 12. If we try the second question, it's dates after 27th November. So let's try those. I'll go for after 27th November. So I must type the month first, 11/27/2011. Now this is a bigger list. I've got 88 records, almost 80% of the records, more than 80% belong to this category. Then dates between 27th November 11 and 18th May 12. Let's try that. For this we have between. This is very similar to numeric one. November 27th of 2011 and May 18th of 2012. I press OK. 42 records have been retrieved. We have some very interesting options in date filters. All dates belonging to May. See, we are interested in all the Mays across the year. So long as a date belongs to the month of May, the year is immaterial. We would like to see that. This can be done very efficiently using the last option over here. All dates in the period. In all dates in the period we have May. You can go for May. And you can see May 11 appears, May 12 appears. All these days belong to the month of May. Finally, dates either after 18th May or before to 27th November of 2011. I slightly rectify this question. It should be after 18th May of 2012 or before 27th November of 11. So let's try those. This is not readily given anywhere, so I have to go for custom filters. This is similar to finding extreme numeric values. Here I'll go for after 18th May of 2012, or I have to select or is before 27 November of 2011. So I get 59 records which satisfy this condition, that they are either after the latter date or before the earlier date. So I finished these questions. In addition to these questions, we have these options like tomorrow, today, yesterday. If you want to know today's record, all you need to do is click on today. Tomorrow's record, something you have planned for tomorrow, something you had planned for yesterday, you would like to review, you can do that. Similarly for other time periods like next week, this week, last week, this is on a weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis and yearly basis. We also have year to date, which will give you a YTD, year to date set of records. But just one thing, this is an American software, so year starts over in this Excel as 1st January. So we'll get all the records from 1st January of 17 till today. If we go for year to date. And of course, there is this custom filter to customize. So we have seen all the different filtering options that are available with us. Most of them we have seen, and we come to a conclusion that yes, filters can be extremely beneficial, they are highly powerful, and at the end of the day we can focus on one portion of the data at a time. This helps us in better data analysis. Let us now study consolidation of data. Many times it happens that we receive data from auditing, but it belongs to maybe different regions or different quarters, and it is distributed across worksheets. We would like to consolidate such data and bring it together. Now, this may not be very easy. That is because sometimes the headers may or may not agree. The headers may slightly vary, as in their placement could be different. One or the other headers might be missing in one or the other sheets. The best way of achieving a consolidation of the entire data is by using consolidate data. This is available in data tab, data tools group, consolidate. Let's see an example. Look at this workbook. We have 5 worksheets over here. We have this East zone which has few products. These are some stationery products being sold in East zone across 4 quarters. We have the West zone. You may notice that there are some products missing and maybe some new products as well. Again for the 4 quarters. North zone, again its own set of stationery products for the 4 zones, for the 4 quarters. And the South zone, its own products. You can see Q1 is missing. So we have 4 tables over here, each having its row headers and each having its own column headers as well. They are similar, some of them are having them as common, but they are not exactly similar. I mean to say, the format is not uniform. The idea is uniform, but not the exact structure. I would like to consolidate and would like to understand what has been the performance across all 4 zones together over different products and different quarters. How do I do that? It could be very painful to consolidate this data by using other features, but data consolidate will do this very easily. Let's go to data. Before we go to data, we must keep our active cell in the destination sheet or destination cell, because at the end of it, when we click the OK button, the result will fall in active cell. My active cell is already in consolidated sheet A1 cell. This is where I would like to place my output. So I would now like to go to data. In data tab, the data tools group, and here we have consolidate. I'll click on this. Use function sum. You can have different functions. You can consolidate using count, average, min, max. Right now I would like to add values. Where are the references? You can browse for the references. So you can click over here and then you can go to East zone. You can select the entire range and then click on add, because this is only my first reference. I wish to add some more. So I click on add. You can see in this reference rectangle, one reference has been added. The second one lies in West zone. The same range is highlighted. I just need to resize it. I click on add once more. Then the north zone. Again add south zone and add. Now I have got all my 4 ranges present in this all references rectangle. Do I have labels in top row? That is right. So I'll tick this. Do I have labels in my left column? That's also right. Do I wish to create links to source data? I think this will be a good idea, because if there is any change in the source data, it will get reflected in my consolidated table. So I tick this as well. Finally, I'll press OK. And here I have, now this is consolidated data for all the different products across all the worksheets. The data flows from different references. You can see row grouping has happened. These are only the summaries. These are totals. You can see all these are having functions. Some function is used here. We can use show formulas, which we learned in the earlier topic. So I go to formulas, and if I go to show formulas, I can see each one of these cells contain some functions. They are totals. And totals of what? I click on show formulas once more, and I would like to open this. So here we have links towards the original data. So talking about pen, the total of pen is 1076. How do I get it? In Q1, pen was sold in East zone, its value is 806, and in North zone is 270. The respective values in different quarters are given. It's available only in East and North. Talking about something like sharpener, it was available in multiple zones. So here we have East zone, North zone, West zone. South zone came into picture only from Q2 onwards. So for Q1, it's a blank cell. We get to know the zones from the formulas. Unfortunately, we don't get to know the zones over here. Here only workbook name appears. So nevertheless, this is a very powerful tool. Very quickly it can aggregate values for you, and these aggregate values can be viewed. Then click on this one button over here anytime to view the summary, and 2 to open up all the different records. So this is how row grouping has happened. Using data consolidate, you can aggregate all these values very easily, and now these values can be used for our audit purpose. And now we come to that particular feature of data analysis, which is the most favorite of all Excel users, not only auditors but all Excel users from all disciplines, that is pivot tables. This is one of the most powerful features of data analysis. And the irony is, even though it is most powerful, yet it is the most user friendly also, which makes it so fascinating. A lot of information can be extracted from data using by simple clicks and drags and drops. Just by clicking, we can create highly dynamic, very interactive kind of powerful reports. To insert pivot tables, we can go to the Insert tab, and within that, in the tables group, we can click on pivot tables. This is a very vast topic. We will understand it the best when we look at it in Excel. So let's do that now. Brace yourself for an intense discussion on pivot tables. There are a number of questions given. We are supposed to solve these questions based on our data. We have a data sheet here. Let's run through the data quickly. Let's see what kind of data we are having. This is an extract of a mutual fund. Again, IDFC mutual fund trades for a particular day. We have the scheme name, the mutual fund scheme name in A column. Then we have the scheme code in B column. C column talks about the asset type transacted. So it can be CBLO, mutual fund units, equity, futures, etc. The security bought or sold, the security code, the security name, units transacted, rate applicable, net value, whether it was a purchase trade or a sale trade, the value date, this is the transaction date, settlement date, where actual exchange of the security and money takes place. Broker, if any, the broker code, the broker name, brokerage, and gross interest, that could be the cum interest that is accrued in a cum interest transaction. So this is the data I am having. There are several records. If I press Control down arrow key, I reach to 155th row. So this is not a very small table set. To analyze this data, I can make use of pivot tables. Go to Insert tab, and here we have pivot table on my left hand side. There are tables and pivot tables. So click on this pivot table and just have a look at the range. Select a table or range. It says my range is from A1 to O155. So just quickly you can check whether your entire data is highlighted or no. If you are satisfied, you can go to the next question. Choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. 99% times we would prefer to place this in a new worksheet. As we will discover later, pivot tables are extremely dynamic. Their dimensions change very quickly. So it's considered prudent to place them in a new worksheet, and that is the default option. So I'll have to just review these two questions, and if there is no reason for me to disagree, I'll press the OK button. On pressing OK, this opens up a new worksheet. Let us zoom this a little so that we can see it properly. On the left hand side, I have got a blank slate. Here it is written pivot table 1, which is the title, and it says to build a report, choose fields from the pivot table field list. Where is the field list? We have the field list on the right hand side. I must mention over here that for any data we cannot build pivot table. There are two requisites. The data should be rectangular in shape, that is, it should have vertical fields and horizontal records. Moreover, at the top of each column there should be a heading. So rectangular format of data and headings for each column. These two are important prerequisites without which pivot tables cannot be inserted. And whatever are the column headings, they appear in the pivot table sheet as field list. I would like to rename this sheet as pivot just for the sake of referencing. A variety of things now can be done. We can build reports using this field list. We have to drag fields between areas below. So there are 4 areas over here. First is report filter, then column labels, then row labels, and then values. Now, where should I drag and drop? I can drag and drop fields over here, but in which area should I do that? There is a principle behind it. I would like to discuss the principle now. When we build pivot tables, ultimately we will be getting a rectangular report. That report has an outline. That report has row labels and column labels, and the report also has a body. So whenever you are involving a field for the purpose of designing that report, you need to ask yourself, do I wish to treat the values of that field as headers of my report? Do I wish to design outline of my report using the field's values? If the answer is in affirmative, then you can involve that either in column labels or in row labels. Column labels if you want to present the values of a field as column headings, and row labels if you want to do that as row headings. On the other hand, if you want to make some sort of calculations, computations on the values of a field, if you would like to summarize them and present them as body of your report, then you can drop that field in values segment. So these are the principles for outline or for framework or for headers of your report. Drop either in column labels or row labels, and for the main body for making calculations, drop the field in values. Now this may not be self-explanatory, so we'll understand it better when we tackle the different questions. I'll come to the report filter at a later point. Now let me go to these questions. First question. Extract unique list of schemes. I would like to derive a unique list. So first of all, I would like to enlist the scheme. Which schemes am I having? Which schemes, in which scheme state took place today? So I have got the scheme name field. Since the question talks about scheme name, obviously I have to involve it. I don't want to make any computations. I just want to present it as a list. So I'll drag it using mouse. This is mouse based technique. I'll drag it and I'll drop it in row labels. I'll release it here. On the left hand side, I can immediately see a list of values. This list is unique. That's it. The first question is already answered. The second question. Find out scheme wise total trade value and number of trades. I'll handle it one by one. First is total trade value. Scheme wise, I would like to know the total trade value. If I have to do this manually, just for example, if I focus on the first scheme, I can use filters here, which we learned a while ago. I apply filters using Ctrl+Shift+L and say I would like to shortlist all students bond fund. I'm doing this in original data, the source data. So there are these three records, and if I would like to know what is the total traded value in this particular scheme, all I need to do is to come to this net value field and insert a sum function. I get the total as 11206,028.73. Now using filters I can do this one by one for each of the schemes, but it will take a lot of time and effort. Using pivot tables I do the same thing almost effortlessly. I must involve net value because I want total trade value. And this time I'm interested in adding the net value. So I'm calculating, right? Whenever I make calculations, I must involve that in values. So I'll click, I'll drag this field, I'll pull it down, I'll bring it to values and I'll release it here. And on the right hand side you can see all the different values, including the first one. This one will be derived manually in data tab. So here we get all the different values. At the bottom I can see the grand total. So this itself is a report. Each scheme decided its traded value. Now let's tackle the second part of the question. Second part of the second question is, we would also like to know the scheme wise number of trades. How many trades have happened in each scheme? If I go back to my data sheet, you can see I applied filter on IDFC All Seasons Bond Fund, and how many trades have taken place? You can see there are 3 trades. Now the same number I would like to plot beside this over here. How can I do that? I got this number 3 by counting 3, 1, 2, 3. So I am counting over here on which field? On the scheme field. So as I can see, in the scheme field this particular value occurs 3 times. So definitely I must involve scheme field once more, and this time I am making some sort of a calculation. Even counting of values is one form of calculation. So now scheme name, which is already involved in row labels, I will re-involve it, this time in values. So I drop it here, and over here I can see the count of scheme name, where every number appears. Here we have 3 trades of All Seasons Bond Fund, 17 trades of Arbitrage Fund, 21 trades of Arbitrage Plus Fund, and so on. There are a variety of ways in which you can express these values. So first thing is we have got the sum. It is not necessary that we should always obtain the sum. Sometimes we are interested in some other form of calculation. For example, I would like to plot the biggest trade, not necessarily addition of all trades, but biggest trade for each of the schemes. In that case, I can double click on this sum of net value, this heading, and I get these value field settings. I can change it. I can change this to max. The functions are given over here. Summarize value field by, I may say max and I press OK. And now here we have different values. These are maximum values for each of the schemes. Or if I want the smallest trade, I can again activate that window and select min. So this is my choice, how I want to see that. Or even within sum, I may express this in different ways. For example, when I select sum, I can see the absolute values. Maybe I am interested in the percentages. So I can go for sum, and here I have got show values as, by default it says no calculation. I can change this to percent of grand total. So like this, every value, the contribution of every scheme will be appearing in percentage form. So I can select this percent of grand total and we press OK. So you can see automatically percentages are calculated. The beauty of pivot tables is none of these numbers we have to calculate by ourselves. We just have to lay down the logic, we just have to specify what we wish to achieve, and automatically the resultant values are calculated by Excel. So the burden of calculations is completely offloaded. So here we can see the grand total is 100% and we can see the respective contributions of each of these values. I'll come back to the absolute values. Here there are many interesting options, you can explore them. We can also express it as a percent of column total, a percent of row total, or percent of any specific column, or we can also rank them, rank largest to smallest, smallest to largest. All these variety of options are there. You are requested to explore them. Right now I will come back to no calculation. So no specific calculation. I would like to see the absolute values as they are. Summarize value by sum. I can even give a customized name to this field. Why should it have sum of net value? I can rather rename this as total traded value. A different kind of a name. I press OK and I come back to these values with a different heading. So here the second question is over. Now let us look at the next question. The third question is going to complicate our matters now. Find out scheme-wise purchase value, sale value, number of purchase trades and number of sale trades. So it's an extension of the second question. In the second question we derived the total trade value for each scheme. Now I wish to break that. The total trade value should be expressed separately as purchase value and sale value. Again, number of trades were derived, those should be broken into purchase trades and sale trades. I wish to derive a breakup based on purchase and sale. So if I go to my original data, if for this scheme I would like to determine the purchase value and the sale value separately. How do I get that? So here I have got the ICE column and here I can see a flag of purchase and sale. And if I am interested in purchase, I can apply a filter on purchase. So this is the purchase value, there is only one record. So its own value is the total, which is 55 lakhs. Or I can apply a filter on sale and the sale records appear, which is 5706028. This is as far as one scheme is concerned. For each scheme there will be either purchase or sale or both. So in that case I will have to apply two filters, 25 odd schemes, that means 50 instances of filtering to obtain these values. This may not be the most efficient way. So again we resort to pivot tables. I would like to break this value into purchase sale and I would like to break this down into purchase sale. How can I do that? Definitely I must involve purchase sale. Now let's understand, we are not making any new calculations. We are just breaking down the existing values. So again the total of this net value field remains as it is. Number of trades based upon count of scheme name, that remains as it is. We just have to present them along purchase and sale. So purchase and sale will become my headers, will become the framework within which I am presenting this body. Hence I must involve purchase sale either in row labels or in column labels. Since I already have scheme name in row labels, just for a change I will put this purchase sale in column labels. Please remember, row labels and column labels is entirely your choice. You can put in either of the two. and the difference will be only in terms of the layout, but the figures, the report will be the same report and it will be the right report. So here I drag it and I drop it over here. That's it. A simple click, drag, drop, and suddenly new columns are added. I initially had 3 or 4 columns, now I have got about 7 columns. Several new values have been generated. So here we have the total trade value as it is, but it has been broken into purchase and sale. So here I have got this purchase value, the sale value, purchase count, sale count, and the total value, total trade value, total count. 4 new columns have been added with a simple click, drag, drop. A lot of numbers have been crunched, but the best part is we did not have to bear a burden of it. Now over here, let us say I am curious about any of these values. Say I am curious about this particular value 45244. How does it appear? I mean, I would like to drill down and would like to see the underlying record. If I am curious about this value and if I want to see the underlying records, I will have to see this value conveys what exactly. This value belongs to IDFC Arbitrage Plus Funds and belongs to sale field. So I'll have to go to the original data. We'll have to clear the filters if any. Then apply a scheme filter on Arbitrage Plus Funds and then apply a transaction type filter on sale. Then I'll get the desired records. Either I can do that, but it can be a longer way. A shortcut is simply double click on this value using your mouse. If you are interested in any numbers and would like to drill down, you can double click on that number and this opens up a new worksheet. As you all can see, another sheet has been inserted and those records which go into building up this value have been aggregated over here. So if I just highlight this or if I take a total over here, you can see the total is the same. It covers all of this and it's 452442069, which is nothing different from this number. So these are the detailed records. You can go through them and you can satisfy yourself. So that's it as far as the third question is concerned. Let me turn my attention towards the next question. Wow. Now the next question desires to complicate the already complicated report further. It says add a broker dimension to above. So when we add a broker dimension to this, what we would be getting is scheme wise through each broker the value of purchase, the value of sale, number of purchase trades and number of sale trades. I repeat, scheme wise through each broker we get purchase value, sale value, number of purchase trades and number of sale trades. Yes, definitely this is going to be complex report, but to design this kind of complex report, do we need to take any complex steps? All I need to do is involve broker. Again, on broker values themselves, I am not going to make any calculations. I am only going to present the calculations along the broker name. So all I need to do is click, drag this broker name and drop it either in row labels or column labels. This time I will go for row labels. So I drop it over here and you can see the broker names have got added. For each scheme there is it is broken into different brokers and their purchase values, sale values, purchase count, sale count, total value, total count. So the same numbers that we had have become subtotals now and those values have been broken into broker wise individual values. We can also change the layout slightly. We can here I have got the total trade value broken into purchase and sale. Maybe we would like to have an alternate layout wherein I want all purchase related items together. So the purchase value and purchase count should be together, sale value, sale count should be together. Right now the value is broken into purchase sale. I want purchase to be broken into value and count. In other words, here you can see values is at the top and purchase sale is subsidiary to it. I would like to make values as subsidiary to purchase sale. For this purpose, click on this purchase sale and then you get lot of options. One of the options is move up. So if I click on this moves up, values comes down, and look at your pivot table. Now you have got purchase broken into sum and count, sale broken into sum and count. So this act of making changes in pivot table is known as pivoting. Pivoting can be done very easily in pivot tables, and that's why the name is pivot table. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about few settings. At the top, we can see a new pink colored tab. This is a contextual tab which has been inserted. These are known as pivot table tools. Here we have two subtabs, option and design. We can design our report in a variety of ways. So if I go to this design tab, I have got this report layout. Right now I can see that I have got two fields crammed up in column A. So I have got the scheme names in column A. I have got the broker names also in column A. Maybe I would like to separate both of them. Let there be a different column for each of these fields. So I can go to the report layout. Presently it is what is known as compact form, but I don't want this in compact form. Maybe I can go for an outline form. So when I click over here, you can see automatically it separates between the scheme name and the broker name. So here I have got scheme name and scheme related values, scheme level values. So these are the subtotals, and below that broker details are there. So arbitrage fund scheme level values are these, and specifically for each broker these are the values. In this type of view, we have got the subtotals at the top and which are broken into individual values. If you want a different kind of presentation where you want the individual values to be at the top and subtotal at the bottom, you can select the third type of layout, that is shown in tabular form. When you click over here, so you get these scheme names at the top and the broker names at the top and scheme wise subtotal at the bottom. If I catch hold of any particular value, say I'm talking about the 37189919, I may be curious, this value belongs to which scheme, which broker, and what transaction type. What does this value exactly represent? So when I try to search the broker, I get the broker beside it. It is Macquarie Securities India Private Limited. To which scheme does it belong? If I press left arrow, I cannot see readily. I have to go up and I have to fetch the scheme name, which is Arbitrage Plus Fund. I am talking about the transaction type. Again I go up. It is purchase. But for the count of it, I can see purchase over here. Purchase is there on the left side. The point that I am driving is I have got many blank cells over here. When I come to the left, when I go to the top, possibly I may encounter a blank cell in the heading section. And to get the header, to understand to which value it belongs, I have to go to the top or go to the left. Do I wish to fill these blanks? If the answer is in affirmative, I can do that. Again, click on this report layout. You have this repeat all item labels. So if you click on repeat these item labels, you can see the labels are repeated in every row and also in every column. It is repeated. So this helps quickly, readily you can see that a particular value to which to which set it belongs to. Now, my report is pretty complex. If I have to trim it a little, I may also consider these subtotals. After presenting it in this manner, maybe I don't want to show these subtotals. I have got these subtotals, but do I really want to show them? Maybe not. If the answer is no, then again we can go to design. Here we have subtotals. If we prefer, we may select do not show subtotals, and then the subtotals are gone. We also have grand totals at the bottom. Do I wish to present the grand totals? If the answer is in negative, then grand totals off for rows and columns, and the grand totals are off. So like this you can remove the grand totals, but never delete the rows or columns. Now I have got a report finally, a little trimmed, but it still goes up to F column, and when I press Ctrl down it goes up to 61 rows. Now possibly this report itself may go beyond our span of vision, and a need may arise wherein we would like to filter this report. Can we filter this report? So let's look at the next question. Sorry. It says, do asset type wise reporting of above. We can use something called as report filter. We haven't talked about this area as yet. So now is the right time to talk about that. We can do filtering of this report, but there is a huge difference between this report filter and the worksheet filters that we use ordinarily. In worksheet filters, I cannot filter on a field which is simply not present in my data. It is impossible. So I've got all these fields in my source data. In my source data, somewhere in this sheet, I would like to apply a filter on a field which doesn't exist in this data. For example, there could be a fund manager for the mutual fund schemes. I don't have a fund manager field in this data. Can I apply a filter on that? It is simply inapplicable, impossible. However, in my pivot tables, I can apply a filter on the pivot table based on a field which is not present in the pivot table, so long as it is present somewhere in the field list. So even though it is not there in the pivot table, I can apply a filter. Let's see an example. So we talked about asset type. I have this asset type over here. Click, drag and drop it in report filter segment. And at the top, in A1 and B1 cells, we can see this asset type. By default, it is all. So all the asset types are visible, but as per my choice, I can click on this drop down and I can select any of the asset types. Say I want to focus only on equity. So I select equity and I press OK. You can see the table is shortlisted now. We have table running till row number 62. Now it runs only till row number 24. Or you can go for some different type of asset. Say I would like to see only the government securities. Now this is even shorter. You can see it has only 4 rows now. Can we notice something? Look at the row numbers. When I discussed filters, I have mentioned that the row numbers turn blue, and that is one of the obvious and conclusive indicators that this is a filtered list. But report filters is an exception to that. Report filters don't satisfy this property. In report filters, rows are not hidden. You can see all rows are visible, and hence there is no question of making row numbers blue. These row numbers actually, what report filter does is, it regenerates the report. All the name is filter. That doesn't mean that the non-applicable values will be hidden. The whole table is regenerated at every instance of filtering. Let's also try one more option. Let's try mutual fund units. As we select mutual fund units, now there is only one row. And if you look at the columns, now columns run only till D. At the beginning we had columns E and F as well. What happened to those columns? We can see this is a single transaction, single trade, and that is a sale trade. So purchase columns are not required and they are not displayed. So this is third point of distinction between report filter and worksheet filters. Worksheet filters will do filtering only of the rows. All columns will always be visible, even though one of the columns values will be blank, but it will still be visible. That is not the case with report filter. If a particular column is inapplicable, it is simply removed and the pivot table is regenerated. So this is how you can do filtering using report filters. You can also select multiple items if you want to. Here you have multiple items, you can tick this select multiple items, and now you get check boxes. So let's say I'm interested in equity, I'm interested in CD, I'm interested in futures, I'm interested in repo, I'm interested in TBL. Few asset types I have selected, and now I would like to press OK, and the resultant values appear. This runs the row number 32, column will be most likely till F, and talking about the heading in B1 cell, here I have got multiple items. Now this presents a small difficulty. If I have got multiple items, means which multiple items? Does it include equity or no? Or what is the exact composition? What is included, what is excluded? I don't get to know unless I activate the filters window. It is not readily visible in front of my eyes. This is a small difficulty, small but important. To alleviate this difficulty, in Excel 2010 version, Microsoft introduced a new concept called slicers. Now let's examine slicers. Before we examine slicers, let me just clear this report filter. To clear the report filter, you will have to pick this select all and press OK. Maybe in fact I would like to remove this report filter. So I'll come to this report filter, asset type, I click here and I throw it out. You can just drag it and throw it out. It goes away. On the other hand, I would like to now explore slicers. Where are slicers? We have those in options. If you go to this options tab, over here you can see insert slicer, insert and filter group. I would like to click on this insert slicer. Here you get a field list with checkboxes. You can insert multiple slicers at a single point of time if you want to. Right now, I'll take the same example. I'll pick this asset type and press OK. And you can see a small object loaded on your worksheet. This is your slicer. This is a slicer based on asset type, and the various asset type values are displayed. You can resize this small window if you want to. This is there in front of you. You can make it smaller, taller, anyway. I don't want the scroll bar, so I'll try making it a little taller and check whether I can remove the scroll bar. So I fine tune its height and now the scroll bar has gone. Another point I will consider, do I need it as wide as this? This is the default width, but maybe I don't require this kind of width. So I may make it a little slimmer. So I can have my slicer having this kind of a size, wherein I can see the different asset type values. I can quite clearly see my report as well. This is not blocking my view much. It is lying in front of my eyes. Now if I want to do filtering, let's say I want to see only equity. So I click on equity, and in the background can you see my table gets updated. Or if I want to focus only on NCD, so I click on NCD or on GSEC or on repo or on MFU. As I click, in the background the report gets updated. Or if I want multiple ones, you just need to hold the control key, keep it pressed and select multiple ones, whichever ones are there in your mind, and then release. The moment you release the control key, the table gets refreshed in the background, and can you see very visibly, you can see which items have got filtered. So here this report is based on CD, futures, MFU, repo, TBL and ZCB. I can assert this very confidently because this list is in front of my eyes. Those values which are in blue are the visible ones and those in white are not considered. Eventually if I want to clear this, you can see this clear filter button. The keyboard shortcut is Alt C. I can click over here, now 100% data is visible. So this is how slicers work. Slicers are not much different from report filters, truly speaking. It is just visible report filter. That's how you can look at it. Finally, if you want to get rid of the slicer, you can right click on this slicer and you can pick this remove asset type. One more point we must remember regarding pivot tables, that if any changes take place in the pivot tables, they don't get automatically updated. So we have this refresh button over here. We must refresh our pivot table so that any changes in our original data get reflected over here. Now let's look at one very important concept in pivot tables. Before we go ahead in that, I would like to shorten my pivot table and I would like to just maybe remove few items. So I would remove this broker name, this purchase sale, and total trade value, count of scheme name. If I total trade value, I would like to restore to net value once more. I bring back here sum of net value. Okay, so I've redesigned my pivot table. I've come to a very simple structure, and now over here I would like to derive one calculation. Say some kind of a transaction fee is applicable, and that transaction fee is say 2% of the trade value for whatever scheme. At a scheme level it is levied. So at each scheme, this is the total trade value, and 2% of this is the transaction fee. Now if my pivot table is ready, I can calculate the transaction fee in the adjoining column. I can give a heading transaction fee, and if I refer to this cell, I may get pivot data. Okay, now I would like to multiply whatever is appearing by 2% and I get a figure. If I try to copy paste this, then I get this problem. The problem is the same number that appears over here. The same number comes again and again. This is one difficulty for me to make any calculations on pivot table. Apart from this, subsequently if I decide to expand my pivot table, add let's say purchase sale. So when I try to add purchase sale in column labels, maybe I want to break this value into purchase value and sale value. I cannot do that because I have got a calculation done already beside my pivot table. So it will ask me, do you want to replace the contents? If I press OK, I lose my column. The column is gone now. It has been overwritten by pivot table. The pivot table itself got expanded. So this is another difficulty that I face while making calculations over the values calculated by pivot table. I will just remove this. If you ever desire to make calculations over pivot table values, you should not do that externally. It is incorrect idea to go outside the pivot table and make calculations over here. Why shouldn't we make our calculations themselves as integral part of our pivot table? We can do that, and for this purpose we will use something known as calculated fields. You can have derived fields based upon your data field. A field which doesn't exist in your original data but which is derived based on some other data, other field in your data. Let us see how that is done. Go to options. It is important that your cell pointer is somewhere on the pivot table, otherwise this pivot table tools tab will not appear. Go to options. You have fields, items and sets, and here the first option is calculated fields. So let's say I would like to calculate, I would like to derive a calculated field known as transaction fee. So I may just give it a name transaction underscore fee. How is it calculated? It says equal to 0, doesn't make any sense. So I'll say equal to, it is 2% of my net value, right? So I'll double click on this net value. It appears over here into 2%. So it's very simple. You just lay down the basic logic. Logic is take the net value, multiply by 2%. That's it. And press OK. On pressing OK, you can see a new field is added to your field list. At the bottom, a new field which is actually not present in your data, which is calculated on a real-time basis as a derived field, that is transaction fee. Here we can see the transaction fee. This transaction fee is 2% of this. It's the same number we got, right? And best part is it handles for all the different schemes. We don't have any difficulty over here. We can also involve the other fields very easily. Now this I want to break into purchase sale. I can drag and drop it over here. My net value as well as the transaction fee is now broken into purchase sale. I can take this purchase sale above. I can say move up. And now this is adjusted. So I got my purchase broken down into sum of net value, sum of transaction fee, sale broken into these two. So you may have gathered that transaction fee for all practical purposes is at par with the other fields. It has become integral part of my pivot table, and that's why I can handle this additional calculated field very easily. Another concept is calculated item. Now here we added a new field, a new concept, a new column got added in my field list. Maybe I don't want to make any addition to the field list, but one of my fields may include a set of values. I would like to add a new value to it. For an existing field, a new value. Typically, the fields which are involved in headers, that's where I would like to do that. So let's see how that can be done. Now for this purpose, it is very important that you stay in column A. Column A is the heading row. It shows the heading column rather. It shows the row headers. So keep your cell pointer in column A in your pivot table, and then go to options, field items and sets. We have the calculated item over here. And here we can create a calculated item. Say, talking about the schemes, here I have got the schemes listed. I would like to make you can say a group of schemes known as equity schemes, and I would like to derive the values, the total trade value and the transaction fee and such items purchase broken into purchase sale maybe. So all that body of my report I would like to create for this group as well. This can be handled using calculated item. I would like to write here equity underscore schemes. So this is my group name. And how do I derive values? What is the logic behind this group? It is simply aggregate of equity schemes. Now what do I mean by equity schemes? I will have to really study all the schemes of IDFC mutual funds, and we'll have to identify which of them are equity, which are not. Right now, for the purpose of learning this concept, I will make a very simple definition that if a scheme name contains the word equity, it is equity scheme. If it doesn't, then it doesn't, then it is not. It is a very simplistic assumption. So here, as I run through the list, I can see the list of scheme names on my right. So here, I can see classic equity is the first one which contains equity. So I just need to double click here. And on double clicking, it appears. Then I put the plus sign. The next one is enterprise equity. I double click. Again plus. Then I have got imperial equity. Plus. Then I have got premier equity. Plus. Small and mid cap equity, plus then strategic sector 50-50 equity, and this is the last one. So I double click it, that's it. So these are the schemes which are belonging to my group, and now I press OK. My group has been defined with a name. I press OK, and now if I turn to the bottom of my table, I can see there is an additional item. Sorry, there is an additional item, equity underscore scheme, which shows total for equity. I can quickly apply a filter. I have got a filter button here, and I can write in the search window equity. I can press OK, and you can see, let's talk about this total. This is total ID. If I highlight this, you can see at the bottom it's 2607403362, and the same figure appears here. So this is indeed aggregate of these all equity schemes. I can insert in my pivot table a value which did not exist. I defined a value based on other values of a field, and this is known as calculated items. I'll clear this filter. Let's look at some miscellaneous items now. You can go to the design tab. If you want, you can have banded rows. Now this can be useful if you want to print the pivot table and present this on a paper. So quite often we get confused whether this particular value 565, does it represent arbitrage plus fund or arbitrage fund. On a white sheet it may be confusing. You can go for banded rows. If I take this, bands are created like this. So this is green color, arbitrage plus is grey, so it very easily I can conclude it belongs to arbitrage plus. You can also have banded columns, but banded rows is what is preferred by people the most. You can have different types of pivot table styles. So from this drop down you can pick up different schemes. You can have light schemes, you can have medium type schemes, or you can have some dark versions if you want. So this totally depends upon your taste, what kind of color scheme you would like to attach. This is just a cosmetic change. As per your own taste and preferences, you can handle that. If you go to options tab, here we have seen almost all the important things. In options we have these options, and if I click on these options, then here we get to define the pivot table name. By default it is pivot table 1. We can change it. I can call this as trades because this is based on trades. That is one thing. Then some interesting options are there. For example, how to handle the empty cells. For empty cell show, by default it is empty itself. If you prefer, empty cells may be replaced by 0, so you can select this as 0. That is one thing you can do. Then you also have the I would like to discuss one more option. If you go to data tab, you have the option of refresh data when opening the file. So when the file is opened, it will be first refreshed and then it will be presented in front of you. This could be useful when multiple people will be working on this file. So if somebody else has made changes, or you yourself may have made changes and you may have forgotten about it. When you open the file, nevertheless, Excel itself will refresh it so that your pivot table will be the most updated one in front of you. If you want, you can take this option. There are various options over here. I suggest that you explore this particular window. Right now I have changed the name. For empty cells I say 0, press OK, and you can see the cells which were earlier empty have now been given the value 0. So now my table is completely filled. So these are some of the prominent concepts related to pivot tables. If you ask me, pivot tables is really vast and we have a time constraint. We have to learn many things. So we cannot keep talking about pivot tables all the while, but I strongly recommend to you explore the different options, the different features, the different tools that are available in a pivot table. It's a vast but very fascinating topic, and I am sure as you progress further and further in pivot tables, this will really enrich your knowledge, this will build up your interest, and at the end of the day you will be able to perform your audits very efficiently. So after the intense discussion on pivot tables, We are through as far as the major features of data analysis are concerned, and now we'll look at few case studies. So I've planned a number of case studies for you. First we'll see how to do gap detection, then we'll see the application of Benford's law, then aging analysis, sampling, stratification, and finally descriptive statistics. Let's talk about gap detection. We need to detect gaps for serially numbered documents. When you perform your audit, certain documents like invoices are expected to be serially numbered. But if there is some error or fraud or some kind of a lapse, then you may discover that some of them are not serially numbered. Now, how exactly you can verify this? In modern electronic database systems, these invoices are auto-generated and they are given serial number automatically by the machine. If due to some kind of a manipulation serial numbers are missing, you can simply take extract of the data and use Excel to detect such gaps. Let's look at how exactly we can do this in Excel. Consider this data. Over here, we have the invoice numbers in column A and the other fields are given. We would like to verify whether these invoices are serially numbered or no, or has any suppression of invoices happened. For that we will have to extract the invoice numbers. Now the first difficulty that I face is this invoice number is alphanumeric. So I cannot simply calculate difference. If I try to do that over here, you can see this minus the previous one. I don't get it as 1. I get an error, hash value error, because this alphanumeric combination of invoice numbers is regarded as text by Excel and we cannot perform any calculations on text. So I will have to first extract the numeric part and then work on it. If I observe this from top to bottom, right from the first value till the last value, you can see the invoice numbers thankfully are of equal sizes. And moreover, the first two characters are alphabets and the rest 4 are numbers. So can I extract only the last 4 characters? For this we can use an Excel function known as write function. Write function lets us extract characters from the right side of a text string. So here, if I just give a heading numeric part, and in G2 cell, I would like to insert the write function. It has 2 arguments, text and number of characters. A2 cell is my text and I am interested in the last 4 characters. So from the right hand side as I go from right to left, I want 4 characters, so I will give the argument as 4. So this gives me 0, 1, and as I take it till the bottom, I get this as all the different numbers. Now I can do a simple thing. I can calculate the difference in the adjoining column and check whether the difference is 0 or no, rather 1 or no. Here, this 002 minus 001 is 1, and if I drag it, I seem to be getting 1, but this is only a cursory glance. It could be different as well. Best way to check this is through filters. Go to data, filters, and let's see what these filter drop downs say. Oh, at some places the difference is 0. At some places the difference is as high as 4. So I can check them one after the other. When I check 0, this may be a case where the invoice has got duplicated. Or if I check 2, or if I check 3, that means there are some invoices which are missing. If I clear the filter over here, you can see that I have got 3485 and then directly 3488, hence the difference is 3. This gives me a sense that some invoice numbers are missing and some invoice numbers have got duplicated also. But I don't really get a list of all missing invoices. Getting a list of duplicate invoices is relatively easy. You can again use that duplicate marking that we learned in the earlier topic using conditional formatting, or even if you apply filter on 0. So these are the ones which have got duplicated basically. If I clear the filter here, you can see that is 325 first. So a simple filter on 0 itself will give you the list of duplicate invoices. All these have got duplicated, 12 cases. But what about the missing invoices? If you want a list of all missing invoices, you can make a comprehensive list and then make use of VLOOKUP. So here I have got IN not 1, not 2, and it runs till 4920. So I should be having all numbers between 1 to 4920. Am I having them? So let us see. I'll open a new worksheet and here I'll make a list of all numbers between 1 to 4920. So over here I'll type 1 and then I'll give a simple formula above plus 1. This gives me 2. I would like to copy this and would like to extend it 4920. Now 4920 is quite far away. So for my convenience I can use go to by pressing F5 key and write here 4920. This is where I would like to go. The formula is already copied. I press Ctrl Shift up arrow and I paste. So now I have got this complete list. And do I get it? Do I get all of these? I can use VLOOKUP function for this. Before I use VLOOKUP, one simple point. You can see that these numeric parts are left aligned. This happens whenever you use concatenate or write function or similar functions. The output is always regarded as text by itself. So this may look like a number, but it is not regarded as number by itself. On the other hand, if you want to emphasize that this is a number, you can enclose this in another function known as value. So value converts a text string that represents a number to a number. All you need to do is insert value function. The text of value will be your earlier write function. Whatever is the text, just enclose it in value. Very simple single argument function. And now you can see you have got 1. Copy paste it till bottom and you have got all these numbers. These numbers are right aligned. So that means these are regarded as numbers by itself. Now coming back to my list over here. Here again I have got a list of numbers between 1 to 4920. And this is a list. To what extent is it complete or incomplete? Let us test. So here I apply VLOOKUP. Lookup value will be 1. Table array, I'll look up for this number over here. I'll just select the G column, maybe the entire G column. Single column table will also do. Column index will be 1 because there's only one column. And I want exact match. So I specify false. That's it. Close the bracket, press enter. I get 1 over here. I extend this till bottom. I seem to be getting many numbers, but do I get all numbers? Let me apply filter and check. I apply filters over here and I unselect all. I search for errors. Whichever are the missing numbers, they will produce errors. I can see some hash and errors here. I can tick that and press OK. So this is the list of invoices. I have got 33 of them. These are 33 invoices which are missing. And now you can ask your auditor what happened to these invoices, because I can see some gaps in the invoice numbers. Why these gaps are existing? You can investigate further. The next case study is based on Benford's law. It was propounded by Frank Benford in 1938. It is one of the famous tools in forensic audit. The forensic audits which deal with investigation of fraud. That's where Benford's law is used. In schools and colleges, we learn probability, and we used to solve probability problems, which used to be with respect to designing phone numbers or something like that. And a very common question would be, what is the probability that the first digit happens to be 7? Or what is the probability that the first digit happens to be 5? Now, the mathematical way of calculating is, there can be 9 possible digits in place of the first digit between 1 to 9. And if you pick out 7, 7 is one of them. So 1 out of 9, that gives me the probability as 1 by 9. This is what we learned in schools and colleges, right? But when Frank Benford examined this in real life, he was surprised to discover something different. Then he propounded his law based on first digit of any number. Like, he discovered a pattern, and that pattern wasn't as simple as we learned in our college level probability. So that's why Benford's law is also known as law of first digit. He propounded that the probability that the first digit is 1 is the highest, and then it declines. So probability that 2 is the first digit of any number is lesser than 1 but is greater than 3. For 3 it is lesser than 2 but it is greater than 4, and so on till we reach 9. 9 can be the first digit of a number, but it is the least probable. He did lot of research based on diverse data and came up with a table that what could be the probabilities. So we can see this probability is ranging from 0.3010, which is attached to 1, and the last is 0.0458, that is for 9. So you can see the probabilities are declining as we go from top to bottom. Now this concept is used in Benford's law. So let us look at an example that how we can make use of this in our audit. Now this is a vendors related data. There are various vendors. The vendor code is given in A column. Invoices have been raised. Invoice numbers are given in C column on various dates. And then there are various amounts. Now whether this data looks fine or no, at a cursory glance we cannot make out anything. This seems okay. But whether this data follows the pattern suggested by Benford's law or no is one thing we can check. Remember, Benford's law is not a conclusive matter. If a particular data doesn't exactly fit in the pattern, we cannot conclusively hold that a fraud has occurred. But it should at the very least arouse our suspicion, and we should investigate further carefully. So let us see. Here I would like to extract the first digit. Before we do that, I would like to determine the minimum value in this. So I just highlight this entire data, and I would like to determine the minimum. The minimum is 10 over here. For numbers less than 0, there is a different process which you don't have to do over here. So here the numbers are above 10. I would like to extract the first digit. Now how do I get the first digit? If I want the first digit, this can be done using the left function. We learned the right function. Now we look at left function. It is similar to right function. From the left hand side it will pick out characters. We want the first digit, so we actually want only the first character. So my text is D2, my number of characters is 1. I close the bracket, I press enter, I get 2. And I would like to double click, and I get all the different values here. Now I would like to understand what kind of distribution have I obtained. I have got various values. This is the entire data. This data ranges, it's a huge data. You can see it goes till 1,77,000 records. And what kind of pattern do I get in this? As a summary, as a bird's eye view, I would like to understand how many percent belong to 1, how many percent belong to 2, how many percent belong to 3, so on. One of the easiest way of doing this is pivot tables, what we learned some time back. So I can insert a pivot table based on this. I would like to place this in a new worksheet. This is the table or range. I press OK. So here I get my list. I can see the field list, I would like to have the first digit in my row label. So I get the list of all digits. You can see 1 to 9. All possible digits are listed here. And what is the proportion? If I just drop it over here, I get the count. I don't really require the count. What I want is the proportion. That 1 occurs how many times, 2 occurs how many times, 3 occurs how many times, and so on. So what I can do is I can apply a percentage. How can I get the percentage? I can double click on this heading. I get the value field settings. I go to show values as. It says no calculation by default. I can go for percent of grand total. I press OK. I get these percentages. So these are the proportions. My table values were something different. Now I don't remember the table values, honestly speaking. I don't have to even by heart them. There is a formula. The way Benford propounded his values, there is a formula to calculate them. If you are interested in finding out the probability of nth digit, probability that the first digit is n, it is given by logarithm of 1 plus 1 upon n, and this is to the base 10. So we can present this to the base 10. So this is the formula to calculate the Benford's probabilities, and by using this formula I can calculate. If I wish, I can have a calculated field, but right now just to save time, I'll quickly calculate this. So there is an Excel function called log10. I'll make use of that. I want log10. Log10 will calculate logarithm to the base 10. So in case you have forgotten all about logarithms that you may have learned in earlier classes, it's perfectly alright. Excel will let us calculate without knowing logarithm. So 1 divided by n, where is n? N is over here. So I can just type A4 cell. I'm talking about A4. I get this number. I can copy paste it to the bottom. And I can convert this into percentage format. So these are Benford's percentages, which I have got using the log10 function. Log10 1 plus 1 upon n, using that formula. And now look at this pattern. Can you see any kind of deviation? Of course, the pattern will not match exactly, but here you can see it should progressively fall. From 4 to 5 it has increased. From 1 to 2 it falls, 2 to 3 it falls, 4 to 3 to 4, 4 to 5 it increases, and then it goes down further. For 9 also it has increased significantly. So now this is just what we call as a red flag. This should arouse your suspicion. You should go and investigate this further, that where exactly can I find more proportion. So maybe if you want, you can extract the values of 5. For 5, what do you have? I can double click over here and I get all the different values, those digits for values for which I get the leading digit as 1, the first digit as 5 rather, not 1. And over here I can check further that what kind of amounts do I have over here. Do they pertain to any particular vendor? Maybe I can sort this data. So maybe I can sort on the basis of this value. Sort smallest to largest, 50 for all this vendor, or first I can sort on the basis of vendor. So I sort on the basis of vendor and then by the amount. So I get, for the same vendor I get the amounts together, And you can see this 2001, so many times 50 has been paid to him. So if I just focus on 2001 as the vendor, you have paid amounts which are 50 rupees and you have also paid higher amounts. So you can investigate further why such small amounts have been paid so many times. Why not a consolidated bill for this? This could be right, this could be wrong. You can just check why there is such a huge quantum of transactions with this vendor for such small amounts. And then suddenly we discover towards the end there are some bigger values also. So you can just check what is the pattern. Is there any pattern? Is there something suspicious? You can also check the document trail over here. That who is the vendor, who is the person, whether all the process has been followed properly or no, whether proper signatures have been obtained or no. Is this a related party? You can check that. So this can give you certain cues which will sharpen your audit. This data may look perfectly harmless when you look at that, but then it is violating this pattern. So maybe we can just have a look. So this is how Benford's law may help you in understanding. This looks at the complete picture. That's where its chief utility lies. It looks at the entire picture, and if you see spikes like these, suddenly 9%, suddenly 6% over here, we can focus on those spikes and see whether there are any meaningful insights emerging out of those. Let's talk about aging analysis. Aging analysis is required in case of current assets. We may categorize current assets based on their ages. We can divide them into old, which are not so old, new, that way. These kind of categorizations are necessary because if you have got old current assets, they may require provisioning. Typical example is debtors. If debtors are very old, then we need to ask the auditee, is it really necessary to keep these debtors? Are we going to recover any amount from those debtors? Or is it more sensible to write them off? Same could be the idea behind inventory. If you have got old stock lying in your warehouse, maybe you are still showing those stocks in your books, but does it really have any meaning? Are those kind of goods going to be sold ever? And are those goods fit for consumption in future, or have they got deteriorated? We need to ask this to our auditee, and to ask this, first of all, we should have this categorization ready with us, that whether the auditee has any inventory which is old, which maybe requires provisioning, and what is the value of that, what is the quantum of that we need to determine. Let's take up a case study on this and see how this works. Look at this Excel data. Here we have got some sales related data, various transactions of sales with their customer ID and amount. So each of these sales are leading to debtors. Now sales have taken place in the past, and today what is their status? How many of them are due and maybe overdue? I would like to check. As an auditor, I would also like to see whether any of these debtors warrant any provision. I would like to discuss this with my auditee. For this purpose, I would like to categorize them. I would like to do an aging analysis. Let's see how this can be done. I would first like to insert some rows at the top, and I would like to write today's date over here. What is today's date? So suppose today's date is 15th of July. So I'll enter here 15th July of 2017, and I would like to calculate number of days since any sale is outstanding. So here I take this date and I subtract from this the date of sale. So this will give me number of days that those have elapsed since the generation of sale. Actually, here this date is not going to change for the other transactions, so I can absolute it by pressing F4, and then I can take a difference between today's date and transaction date. It turns out to be 181 for this, and as I drag the formula, I get various numbers. I would like to categorize these numbers in a variety of ways. So how I can do that? So I can give you a formula. I would like to give category headings. So here I would like to write 0 to 45 because I have got 45 days of credit. Let's assume we are giving 45 days of credit to our customers. So 0 to 45, those sales which have not yet become due, and then 46 to say 60, 61 to 75, 76 to 90, and beyond 90. So greater than 90 is what I would like to write here. In these 5 categories, I would like to break my outstanding debtors, and I would like to just take totals. Now the idea is I can make use of if functions here, that if this particular number is less than or equal to 45, where 45 being the upper limit, I would like to capture this amount. Else I will keep it blank and I will not show anything over here. So I'll use if function. I'll say if this value, this number, if it is less than or equal to less than or equal to 45, then you pick up this amount. Else you simply say blank. Blank is indicated by double inverted 2 times. I close this bracket and I press enter. I get this blank. Now actually column over here is not going to vary. I may use the same logic for others, but in any case I'll keep referring to number of days which is in D column. Row may change, but a reference to number of days will always mean a reference to D column. So if I want, I can fix the D column over here. By D column I mean for that fixing I can use F4. F4 by default gives me $D $4. But if I want, I can press F4 once more. That makes it $D4, and for the third time is $D4. So if I copy paste this formula on the right side, D will remain D. Same logic applies to C column. There is no reason why C column should change. When I refer to amount, I will always be referring to C column. The row may change but not the column. So F4 once, F4 twice, F4 thrice. This fixes the C column as well. I would like to press enter, and this gives blank for this. I would like to copy paste it till the bottom. I would like to see if I get amounts anywhere. Now this may look like a date, but actually this is amount. What I would like to do is I would like to change the format to number. I can do that for all columns. I'll select column E till I, and this number format over here I'll make it general. So you can see this particular sum falls in the category 0 to 45. So this is not yet due. What about the others? Now I can simply copy paste this formula in the adjoining column. You can see the column references remain as they are. All I need to do is I will have to change this to 60. But hold it, one more point. This has to be greater than 45 and less than 60. I want 2 conditions to be satisfied. So I'll put an AND function. I'll say AND. Again I'll refer to D4. I'll absolute it by pressing F4. $D4 rather. This has to be greater than 45 in the first place. Otherwise, the numbers covered in E column will get repeated in F as well. I don't want that to happen. The class is 46 to 60. So it has to be greater than 45 in the first place. And so I'll put a comma. That takes me to the second logical. What I had defined earlier in the earlier formula becomes my second logical here. Less than or equal to what? 60. So I type here 60. I'll close the bracket here. My AND function gets closed. Finally, this is my logical test. Observe it carefully. D4 has to be greater than 45, but it has to be less than or equal to 60. In that case, pick up C4. Else, show this cell as blank. This is the complete logic which has been laid down in this formula. And press enter. and would like to copy paste this to the bottom. Have I got any values? So you can see few values are categorized over here. You can see these are 55, 46, 46. These are between the group 46 to 60. I can copy paste this again in the adjoining column. Now all I need to do is change the amounts. For 61 to 75, the same logic continues. So now I say this has to be greater than 60 and this has to be less than or equal to 75. I hope you are understanding the advantage that I gained by absoluting D4 and C4 in a peculiar way. It's only $D. So as I go from left to right, the column doesn't change. But the row changes as I copy from top to bottom, and which is beneficial for me. So that's it, my formula is ready for the next class. I copy paste and I get some more divisions for 67 days, again for 67 days and for 66 days. Again I will copy paste this here. Now it is 75 and 90. I have got few values, one value at least, 77 days, and anything beyond 90, let me check. Only greater than 90 would suffice here. I don't require AND actually. I can remove this rest of the matter. I remove the AND function also. Simply D4 greater than 90 will be sufficient. If D4 is greater than 90, then pick up. So right in the first case, I am getting many numbers over here, which is a matter of concern. I did not get as many numbers in these columns. Look at the number of numbers in this column. It's a big concern. Why so many of the sales are not yet collected? The official credit period of this organization was 45 days. Why there are so many debts which are lingering in the books for more than 90 days? So what about their collection, and do any of these warrant any write-off? We need to check. Finally, if you want to give this as a summary, we can use a sum function. We can add this. We can add all the numbers to here. We can give a total for each of these. We can use the same kind of formatting. I copied from here and I'll highlight. I'll go for a paste special and select format. There's only cosmetic change in the overall presentation. So that's it. These are the totals I get, and you can see this is 47, this is 1,65,000, 1,10,000, 96, and this is 6 lakhs. A major portion, maybe 80% of your debts are much overdue beyond twice the official credit period. Why? This you can ask your auditing, and you can check whether any asset provisioning is required, whether any remark related to this you can put in your audit report. You need to consider this. As an auditor, many times we also have to use statistical tools. We can make use of some statistical, there's a dedicated statistical array called as analysis tool pack. While it goes very deep into statistics, as auditor, we can use some of the tools available in this array. This array is not active by default in your Excel, so to activate it, we will have to go to File, Options, Array, within that Excel array, and then you will have to take Analysis Toolpath. Once that is activated, then you can perform some additional analysis apart from your normal one. It creates a group called as Data Analysis in your Data tab, and then certain statistical analysis can be done readily. We will first talk about sampling, because sampling is quite integral part of auditing. Many times we deal with samples. Now, how to remove these samples? If we just pick them as per our own judgment, then we may lose randomness that is necessary while picking out the samples. By random we mean that all the constituent elements of the population should be equally probable, should have the equal probability of featuring in your sample. That may or may not happen when you handpick your sample. That's where we can use the sampling tool that is available in this analysis toolbar. Let's see this in Excel. Look at this data. Here we have bank account numbers. This is a list of bank account numbers. If I press Control down, this takes me to row number 1001. That means there are 1000 numbers over here. Maybe I cannot verify all 1000 numbers related data. So I would like to pick out a sample, let's say 200 items out of these. Either I can pick them up by myself, I can manually choose any 200 out of these. But that may create some sort of a bias. To avoid that bias and to pick up a random sample, I can make use of analysis toolpack. Now where is analysis toolpack? If I go to data, you can see that you can't locate any analysis toolpack. The last thing that we can see is the outline group, and this portion is vacant. On the other hand, we can fill this vacant portion by analysis toolpack. For that, we'll have to activate that array. We have to click on File. In File, we have got these options. In options, we have add-ins. In add-ins, we go to the bottom portion. It says Manage Excel Add-ins. Just click on Go. On pressing Go, you can see the small window of add-ins. Here we have Analysis Toolpack. This needs to be ticked. On ticking this, press OK. Now can you see a new group gets added over here called as Analysis with Data Analysis is its feature. This is your data analysis add-in. So add-in are additional items basically. You can embed them in your Excel if you want to. By default, add-ins may not be made available, or if they are available, they are made invisible. This is to avoid clutter in Excel. Add-ins are highly specialized. For example, Analysis Toolpack will be focusing only on statistics. So only those who require those kind of statistical computations may use them. It will not be made available so that by default, so that the rest of the Excel users may not get confused. Anyway, so I click on this data analysis. This opens up a small window and I can do a number of things over here. One of the things is sampling. I would like to draw a sample out of this. So I select sampling and I press OK. A small window comes up. Input range. Where is my input range? So where is my data? So this is my data. So I will highlight from this top to bottom this entire range. Do I have labels? Labels means headers. Yes, I had a heading. What kind of sampling method? So I can go for random sample. And how many sample units? We desire 200. Where would you like to place your output? In a specific cell or in a new worksheet or a new workbook? I'll go for new worksheet. That's it. Just answer this simple question, show the data, how many sample units, and then press OK. A new sheet is inserted, and in this sheet I can see the sample elements. So these are 200 in number. As I highlight them, you can see the count. These are 200 units which I must use for my sample. Now these are randomly generated elements. Next time if I do this exercise again, I will get a different sample. That's very likely. But this is randomly generated. No bias has entered into this. I can use this for my audit purpose. Stratification is the next thing. Stratification is an extension to sampling. Many times we have heterogeneous data. That is data in which all elements are not of equal type. In that case, we would like to first of all categorize the given data into homogeneous strata or homogeneous groups, and from each such homogeneous group, we would like to derive elements of our sample. The sample should be representative of the data, but the data itself is heterogeneous. So first break it into homogeneous data, and from that you remove your sample. So sampling will come later. Before that we need to do stratification. And now let's see how we can do stratification in Excel. Now look at this data. This data contains sales amounts. Now the sales amounts are of varying quantums, varying magnitudes, you can see. Some of them are small, like 4,800, some of them are large, like 93,000, relatively speaking. I would like to break these amounts, I would like to categorize these amounts into say 5 categories. If you check the entire range, the minimum value that I have is 1144 and maximum is 99870. I would like to take out a sample, but the sample should be truly representative. So I would like it to come from all different types of groups. So I would like to make groups, 5 groups, say between 0 to 20,000, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80, and beyond 80, that is 80 to 100, 80,000 to 1 lakh. How this categorization can be done? If I want to break this into 5 categories, how can I assign the category? So I can make one column for category. This can be done in a variety of ways. One of the ways is by using if function. I can use if and in fact nested if. So this formula could be if this value is less than or say less than or equal to 20,000, then call it very small. So I will have names. I'll call the smart data as very small, small, moderate, large and very large. So like these I will just use some names for reference. Less than or equal to 20,000, very small. Else, if it is not less than or equal to 20,000, is it at least less than or equal to 40,000? So I'll put one more if. Since I have come to the second if, it automatically implies it is not less than or equal to 20,000. So I just need to say, is it less than or equal to 40,000? If the answer is yes, then let's call this as small. Else, now the trend continues. The third is, again this amount, is it less than or equal to 60,000 this time? Then let's call it moderate. Else, if it is less than or equal to if this is less than or equal to 80,000, then let's call it large. Else, now the final categorization. 4 categories are finished. I wish to break it in 5. If it is not even less than or equal to 80,000, now there is only one option. So I don't really need an if. If I want 5 categories, 4 ifs are sufficient. So I can directly write very large. Now closing of the brackets. I opened 4 brackets one after the other, 4 for 4 ifs. So I must close 4 brackets and color coding helps me. The last bracket, this first bracket in fact, which I closed, is corresponding to the last if. You can see it is maroon in color. Then the next one, which is purple. Then the next one, which is green, which is corresponding to the second if. And the last one, fourth one, is black in color, which is corresponding to the first if. So this is my final formula. Less than or equal to 20, then very small. Less than or equal to 40, small. Less than or equal to 60, moderate. Less than or equal to 80, large. Else, very large. I press enter and I get very large for this. I would like to drag this formula. I would like to auto fit it. And you can see I get very large, large, small, very small, moderate. All different remarks in front of the numbers. So I have successfully categorized this particular data. So I've categorized this, no doubt, but one point I would like to make. I made this formula, and this formula is not a very simple formula by any means. It involves 4 ifs nested one each inside other. And if I want more categories, maybe a 6 category or 7 categories or 8 categories or 10 categories, then as many number of ifs I will require. I will require for n categories I will require n minus 1 if function. This will make the overall formula extremely long and complex. Do we have a solution for this? Do we have an alternative which is much more manageable, which is simple? The answer is yes. We can make use of VLOOKUP function. When we had learned VLOOKUP function in the second topic, that time I had discussed with you an application where we can make use of range lookup as true. Yes, again we will make use of range lookup as true, and we will recategorize this time in a much simpler way. Let's explore that. So here maybe I would like to quickly, I'll open a different sheet to avoid confusion, and in this worksheet I would like to write from to and category. So from 0 to 20,000 and 20,000 1 to 40,000, 40,000 1 to 60,000, 60,000 1 to 80,000 and 80,000 and beyond. So maybe I can insert a symbol here. I would like to insert the infinity symbol. It is infinity. Any number. And what are the categories? Very small, small, moderate, large, very large. So these are my categories. I would like to categorize my data in this using VLOOKUP. This is nicely stored over here. At a later point, if I want, I can add more categories down over here. I can edit these categories very easily. Let's try plotting them here. So category once more. I can make use of VLOOKUP. The VLOOKUP function, where my lookup value will be my sales amount. So my sales amount is my lookup value. Table array. I'll come to sheet 2. From till category. The lookup will be performed in form, and output will be from category column. I'll put a comma. Column index will be 3. Amount from third column. And range lookup should be approximate match. True. That is most important. I close the bracket, I press enter, I get very large. I drag this formula to the bottom. I get all different values. Are these the same values? Let me quickly compare. So I would like to check here. How do I check? I can make use of exact function. I can compare this is my first text. This is my second text. I am getting this as true. Am I getting it true uniformly? Let me apply filters and check. So I apply filters, and in this filter I get true everywhere. So using a very simple formula, single function, a formula as small as this, all I did was specify the range lookup as true. This is the most important part. The rest of the part is easy to follow. So in this manner, I can stratify my data, I can create strata, I can create groups, I can make categories, and then I can draw out samples from these categories. Let's look at the last case study for the day. It's descriptive statistics. Sometimes for a given data set, you would like to generate various statistics. Of course, we have Excel functions for calculating them, But for standard statistics, we would also like to generate them in a single click. Why to insert multiple functions? In that case, we can make use of descriptive statistics. We saw that analysis toolpath and the data analysis add-in. If we want to generate multiple statistics at one go, instead of inserting various functions one after the other, we can make use of descriptive statistics option in that data analysis. It calculates various types of statistics like your mean, median, mode, kurtosis, skewness, and a variety of other things. Let's explore that. Look at this data. Here we have data related to few dividends and various amounts of dividends are given over here. I would like to derive various statistics for these dividends. I can do it in the conventional way, or I can go to data analysis. Data analysis is already present. I can click over here, and over here you may notice there is descriptive statistics available here. I can press OK. Another window opens up. Again, some simple questions will be asked. We just have to answer them. Input range. For which field we would like to generate this descriptive statistics? We ideally need to show a numerical field, because for numerical fields you can have mean, median, mode, such things. So I'll show this range of cells D1 to D505. How are they grouped? So this is a column, and columns is the default one. I don't change that. Do I have label? Yes, at the beginning I have labels. Where can we place the output? New worksheet is a good choice. Do we wish to generate summary statistics? I would like to take that. Do we wish to calculate confidence level? Confidence level is an advanced concept in statistics. If we want to do that, we can take this as well. Do we want the kth largest value? Kth largest, if you recollect, we had learned large and small functions in the second topic on functions. So if you want to derive the kth largest, kth smallest, instead of those functions, we can do it inherently over here. So let's say the same thing, I'm interested in the fifth largest value, and I'm also interested in the third smallest value. So I give these values. You just have to give small simple specifications and simply press OK. On pressing OK, we can see that these statistics are generated. And my autofit column A, so that I can read it properly. You can see everything is generated at one go. So I got the mean, standard error, median, mode, standard deviation, sample variance, kurtosis, skewness, range, maximum, minimum. So this is the maximum value, minimum value. For all these we have functions. We can calculate mean using average function, median, mode, minima, min, max, skewness, kurtosis. For everything, sum, count, large, small. For everything we have got functions. But if you want to derive this kind of a table, you will have to insert 10 or 20 functions one after the other. Instead of that, this descriptive statistics gives everything at one go. So this saves your time and effort. That's the biggest advantage. In addition to descriptive statistics, we have some more options. I would like to run through them. Here we have correlation, covariance. So these correlations can be used when you want to find out statistical relationship between two variables, or you can build histograms, you can derive moving averages for determining trend, you can generate random numbers, rank and percentile. Regression, if you want to predict one variable, suppose value of one variable is known and there is a strongly correlated second variable, you may estimate its value using regression technique. Then we have testing of hypothesis given over here, t-test, z-test. So a variety of statistical tools are available. As per applicability, you can use any of these tools. So right now what we saw was descriptive statistics, number of statistics generated at once, and it was a satisfactory job because it saved my time and effort. So that's it. We are through. This video lecture series on MS Excel as an audit tool is over. In this series, we learned many things. We first had a refresher on Excel. Then in the second topic, we saw the various functions which can be helpful in performing audits. Then we saw the formula auditing. In formula auditing, we learned how to do audit of formula-based structures and templates. And finally, in this particular video, we saw how to perform data analysis by using data analysis features, and we also examined some case studies. I hope this series of video lectures has sharpened your Excel skills that will be needed for audits. I have full trust and I sincerely wish that you will excel in your audits using Excel. Thank you.